On this week's Hot List, Rear View Regret. Joko Widodo is the latest world leader to apologize for past atrocities. Why now? Friendlier Skies, the national air carrier, is profitable again with its stock back in the market. Is Garuda ready for its comeback? And Beauty Bash. A Bali woman competes in the Miss Universe pageant. Should we cheer or question these events? Hello and welcome. This is Hot Indonesia. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Let's get to it. Here are my co-hosts. Linda Ibrahim is a writer, business consultant, and fashionista. And Karanina Sunny, business owner, Miss Indonesia 2009, and horse whisperer, I think. Hot topic number one, rear view regret. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte did it last month. Britain's Tony Blair did it after a damning report on the Iraq War in 2016. Now, Joko Widodo is apologizing for his country's past atrocities and is about to hold meetings in several parts of the country to talk with survivors and families. Now, ladies, Coordinating Minister Mahfud MD said the goal of these ceremonial visits is in places like Aceh and Talang Sari is to provide closure. Linda, why do you think the president is speaking out now?
Honestly, because I think he's got nothing to lose. Looking at him so far, he's a practical man. And now there's only like a year and a half to the next election. He's not running for re-election, right? And honestly, what's going to happen?
Why, would it hurt him if he said something during a pre-term?
But then he would have the responsibility to take it over to the next one if he won, right? Okay, you say you want to pursue this. What's going to happen in the next year and a half in terms of judicial process? So it's not going to hurt him in any way, but
if there is a judicial process, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit.
However, can you imagine when they do his memoir later, there will always be a note that he did apologize. So it's a plus sign.
Okay, but do you think he thought of it, or his handlers or his advisors said, hey, maybe now might be a good time for you to do it? Everyone's doing it.
Probably the second part.
Yeah. It's a trend globally where everyone's apologizing, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But now to follow up. Now, Nina, timing is one thing, substance is another. Now, Joko said last week that he acknowledges, quote, there were gross human rights violations, and I strongly regret that those violations occurred. Okay, Nina, is that enough for you?
I think apology is definitely a good step in the right direction, but it's not the final step. There are many steps that need to happen after that, including a judicial process, because everybody must adhere to the law, regardless of whether you were in the government or you were in the military or whoever was responsible for these actions taking place. There needs to be a process that happens that can bring retribution to the victims and the families that are left behind. So apology it's good optics. It goes good on your resume, but what process will you continue to pursue after this to make sure that it is complete and to make sure that there are proper legal proceedings being done to bring justice to the people that these.
Well, he didn't say anything about that, did he?
No, he didn't.
He just said
he didn't. And actually, when I was reading about it, it seems that some of the cases had been brought but then thrown out by the Attorney General's office.
Sure.
So it's actually interesting that
this could ignite.
Some people had brought this forward before and nothing came of it. So are you going to be serious about the next step, or is it just optics?
If there is a next step.
If I may add here, every Thursday for the past, I don't know how many years, over 12 years, I think, a group of mothers, a group of parents stand outside the palace of the president, demanding to meet the president. SBY didn't get to see them. Joko never went to see them, and they're the parents of the students get killed in 1998. Joko never even gave them a minute. So really, this is just an optics that is nice for his next memoir.
Okay. Could it be more, though? Tony Blair's statement, which it came up on social media. That's why I brought him into this. And I thought it was recent, but no, it was about 7 years ago. His statement regarding Britain's participation in the 2003 invasion of Iraq was particularly strong and personal. He said this, yeah, the decision to join the coalition was, quote, the most momentous, most agonizing decision I took. I express more sorrow, regret, and apology than you may ever know or can believe. That's pretty strong. But what, Linda, it does perhaps, people were calling for Blair then to be tried as a war criminal. Right, right. I mean, that is the downside of a government apology.
That is true, but I don't see that happening with Jokowi.
Because Tony was directly, Mr. Blair was
Right,
directly
right.
involved.
Involved.
He was
Yeah,
called
yeah.
the lapdog of Bush. Remember during the press conference?
Yeah.
That was one of the craziest press conferences I've ever seen on air.
But this raises the point about, reviving legal cases that have been brought in the past, and you have to do the other side of this now.
I would just say to President Jokowi, you know, you want to make this ring louder and truer. Go see those parents outside your palace every Thursday. Give them like 5 minutes, you know, hear their grievances.
Still there every week,
I
as
think
far
so.
as you know. Yeah.
It's called. There's even a Twitter account dedicated to that. It's called Aksi Kami San because it's every Thursday.
But I think if nothing else, it raises awareness that when it's being spoken about publicly by the people in power, which is Jokowi currently, then it also lets people know that this kind of behavior will not be gotten away with in the future. Like, this is not behavior that can continue, even if nothing is done in retrospect of the things that were done in the past. But at least moving forward, or maybe they got to be more cautious about it when they do it, because more
I don't
people
think
will
it'll
be
prevent
watching.
it. I think bad people are bad people, and if it happens, it'll happen in this country. You know, the atrocities that Jokowi cited, we remain open wounds. The 1965 anti-communist purge, the 98 riots, others. Human rights activists, who immediately criticized what he said, say that talk is cheap and that the violence needs judicial and financial remedies, as
I
we
agree
discussed. So,
with them.
final point, Nina, will Indonesia ever do that?
I think the big question is, who are the ones responsible, and are they still in power? If they are still in power, then probably not, because it's very risky on the side of the judicial side, whoever is going to be trying the cases, and that's probably why a lot of the cases were thrown out in the first place.
I thought you were going to say if they're not in power, it would be easier to try them because they're no longer part of the power structure, but it's the opposite.
No, that's what I mean. If they're not in power, then probably you could bring them
Oh,
to court. But maybe if they are still in power and the names aren't being named.
it would never happen if they were still
And
here.
the way the political dynasties run in Indonesia, there's always someone from the 1960s who still have relation to whoever is in power now. You
Yeah.
know, so that is kind of difficult.
Okay. Hot Indo will continue shortly with Friendlier Skies. Is the national air carrier ready to fly high again?
I love Indonesia. I love the food. Yummy. Wow. I'm gonna hunt for ingredients. Now I'm ready to cook. Let's go to the kitchen. It's done. Let's meet to eat.
Foodiepedia on the Indonesia Channel.
Hi, I'm Handi Kurniawan and I'm watching the Indonesia channel in Hong Kong.
am Rory He. You're watching the Indonesia channel, the home of good sport.
I'm Trần Minh Ngân of VCCN Net Việt in Hanoi.
I'm Thairat Thomya of Thailand's Thairat TV in Bangkok.
I'm Monica Sambodet from the National Television of Cambodia in Phnom Penh.
I'm Raymond Go of Malaysia's TV3 in Kuala Lumpur.
I'm Glenda Chong of Singapore's Channel News Asia.
I'm Raisa Chantami of the Indonesia channel at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta.
This is your weekly look into the dynamic Southeast Asia region.
ASEAN Today on the Indonesia channel.
The Best of Bali takes viewers on a special guided tour of the treasures of the island of the gods.
Well, the romantic dinner is beautiful.
The Best of Bali, only on the Indonesia channel.
You're watching Hot Indonesia with Linda, Nina, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, Friendlier Skies. The flight plan is positive for the country's flagship air carrier to begin 2023. After a painful restructuring, Garuda turned a profit last year, and as a result, trading of its stock resumed this month after a 6-month suspension. The government now holds 64% of Garuda shares, and airline executives promised that new capital would be used to restore aircraft rather than pay debt and employees. Now, first, Nina, are you optimistic about Garuda's comeback with finances better in place and the pandemic just about behind us?
Well, I think the restructuring was very successful. It was quite a big restructuring, and it was good to see how they could come out of their debt in a very neat and effective way. I think that because of the pandemic ending, and we could already see how everything was getting fully booked up in last December. So people are definitely traveling, there's holidays, there's business trips and things, so maybe picking up from that, getting more business and ticket-wise and filling up seats. But as far as their stock on the market, I'm not hopeful for that because it was suspended for 6 months. So I think that unsuspending it, you'll see a lot of people that were holding stock that got stuck for 6 months are going to be eager to let go of it, and then prices will drop.
But yeah, investors are not sure, and you follow the market.
Yeah.
You know, back in 2011, opening day, I was excited about the IPO. Share price, remember what it was? 750 rupiah per share.
Now it's about
750.
200.
No. This week it's near 100.
Oh, 100.
Yeah, it fell after we resumed trading.
It was suspended at 188.
Right, and it went down for a while.
Yes.
And I don't know where it is today, but let's see. Linda, would you buy Garuda at this point? You buy on dips.
No.
Not asking you for a stock prediction. But
Like if I have like a super long view, like let's say I have disposable income to do for the next 10 years, I will. For the fun of it, you know. No, because here's the thing. I will look at it as like buying bonds.
yeah,
You know?
it's a blue chip to me.
Yeah. Let's look at it as a buying bonds. I buy a little bit and see what happens in 10 years. Because that's what I do when I buy bonds anyway.
I think it's faster than 10 years. I think it
Maybe.
has to rebound for revenue purposes.
One thing about that revenue, though, interestingly, because I've been flying with Garuda a lot since I started flying again after the pandemic. And now they've restructured their pricing to make it so much easier. Like, for example, for international flights, they only have 2 tiers now, the affordable and the comfortable. That's actually how they call it. So there's no longer Y class, Tango class. You know, they used to have like all these surf
and
classes.
even within economy, there's like 3 different levels.
It used to
within
be,
economy.
but not anymore. Now they have, well, there is a business class, but for economy, there's only comfortable. And then,
I haven't seen that, and I'll check on
affordable.
the website. I've been looking.
Yeah, they actually asked me. And then with the affordable, there's like a limit of certain flights you can take. You know, they go up very fast. And then the comfortable, you have more room. Oh, and you can change flight hours easily. No penalties and all of that.
Okay,
Oh,
making
really?
it more consumer friendly.
With the comfortable, obviously, it's more expensive, you know.
Okay, but getting back to the stock price, I mean, you think at 100 or 200, it's a buy opportunity, right? And long term, you would think. But
over 5 years,
and of course, ask your stockbroker for advice, not us.
Yes.
But I'm excited. To me, when it has to be near bottom, 100 or 200 for a blue chip country national air carrier. That's my.
I mean,
stock.
if it's near bottom, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's
It'll
nowhere
go
to
up.
go but up from here.
But
I think
what
it's
we've been
more of a
talking
long
about,
game.
bookings are up, pandemic is over, why wouldn't it go up, right? Anyway, let's talk now about image. Okay, ladies, you know, it wasn't too long ago when Garuda was flying high and it was getting world attention. Awards.
Yeah, they had awards.
And from personal experience, it was a pleasure to fly from the early years. Then came corporate malfeasance, corruption cases against top executives. Nina, I don't think the company responded well enough to those scandals to restore public trust.
I think there is still a lack of public trust. I think in terms of taking the flight because of the other options that are available, and most of all the other available options are budget airlines, you know, ones with problems with like delays.
And we discussed problems,
So Garuda is still the better option for people for flying. But as far as like a business investment, a stock investment, I think the trust is still not where it could be or should be.
Yeah, what I mean is after the scandals erupted, you remember some bribery charges for buying some engines, and then the next CEO smuggled bicycles, high-end bicycles on the plane. I mean, you didn't see much.
Silly.
Yeah, you didn't see much of a government response.
Smuggle, though.
I mean, well, they thought.
If you could smuggle something, why bikes?
And you think he could afford it? I mean, but silly things. But my point is, there was not enough response, and that's why the public lost trust. And then COVID hit, and then they went downhill.
I think the fact that they're state-owned enterprises, you know, always make them feel that they're always going to get help out by the government. They will never be disbanded, as if they're not looking at what happened to Merpati. Merpati was also a state-owned enterprise.
Yeah.
The government finally disbanded it, but I think it made Garuda people feeling even more
Sombong.
not
And
sombong. I think
arrogance in
invincible.
Indonesia.
Invincible. Like, oh, okay, they used to have two. They let go of one. They're not gonna let go this one. You know, we're too big to fail and all of that. I personally think that's how Garuda's management has been thinking. So that there's going to be a bailout whenever.
If it wasn't a government airline, it would have failed.
Oh God, yeah, long time
right?
ago.
But
I think in terms of traveling and for flights, people don't really look at scandals by what flight am I going to take. They look at what
Safety
is
records.
safety. They go, what, you know, how are the planes? Are they kept you know, in good condition? Do they have proper maintenance? Am I going to get to my destination safely and on time? But as far as the image goes for stock and business investing, yes, for sure, that image definitely makes a huge difference, and yeah, I think people have lost faith.
And I think the image from a passenger side was good. I mean, the planes are new; they had bought new fleet, and food and service had improved tremendously.
Yes,
I think they said 70% of the investment is going to go to the maintenance of the plane. So yeah,
right, and they were new, fairly new compared to other fleets now. As travel continues to pick up post-COVID, I think Garuda stands a very good chance of having a second straight year of profitability. You know, that's my projection. So quickly, Linda, to wrap up, what's your projection overall for the airline this year?
I think Garuda will reap benefits because this will be the year that full Hajj flights will go.
And that is the pilgrimage to Mecca for Muslims.
And it's always a boon for Garuda. And then the minor Hajj, Umrah, they start going. I mean, I was again leaving last week, and both flights leaving Jakarta and returning to Jakarta, I met the Umrah groups. You know,
are they direct flights?
For Hajj, direct. For Umrah, I think they make a stopover somewhere. But yeah, so I think it's gonna be an interesting year for Garuda, and election year is coming up. There's always going to be campaigns here, there, and everywhere. You know, of course, the big wigs, they're gonna have charter planes, but for the minions running around, yes.
So a positive storm coming together in 2023 should be positive for Garuda.
Yeah.
Okay, more Hot Indo is ahead with Beauty Bash, our events like Miss Universe, a step back in time.
Produk lokal memang handal, kreasi lokal memang spesial. Ayo beli buatan negeri, bangga sekali produk sendiri.
Anggun and you're watching the Indonesia channel, hot programs, cool people.
I'm Caitlin Turner, and welcome to Yoga Bliss. Exhale, reaching down to triangle pose. Roll your knee out and up to the sky, breathing here.
Yoga Bliss, only on the Indonesia channel. This is the Indonesia channel.
You are watching iPop Playland.
iPop on the Indonesia channel.
You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Hot topic number 3, Beauty Bash. It was the 71st year of the Miss Universe competition, and history was made when the first Filipina-American was crowned the winner. Miss USA, Arbani Gabriel, beat out 83 other ladies in New Orleans, including Bali's Lakshmi Denif Suwardana of Ubud. I don't know if you saw Lakshmi in her national costume. She was balancing kind of like a sailing ship, an Indonesia, Phoenician sailing ship on her shoulders. Did you like that? Your fashion god?
About pageants, they're not necessarily fashion, they're spectacles.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
So
they had to make a big impact, but it was spectacular, right?
It was a spectacle.
It's like, she looked like walking Marina Bay Sands, kind of, you know.
Surf the purpose.
That's Singapore.
Yeah, but I mean a ship on her shoulders. Yeah. You know, obviously we have an expert here on these kind of pageants. Miss Indonesia 2009. You went to South Africa for the Miss World event, which is a separate from Miss Universe. You've heard this before. The debate always arises about pageants like this being anachronistic, that despite what supporters say, it glorifies beauty and sex. Okay? That's what the critics say, not supporters. Personally, I don't object, because I think competitors, and nobody's forcing them to enter, competitors get tremendous benefits. Did you have any conflict like that in your time or now?
Well, I think the difference between Miss World and Miss Universe is, Miss Universe, I think, is a bit more of a spectacle, very much more for putting on a show, and Miss World is a little bit more towards culture and humanitarian. So no, I didn't face any of those things, because everything was more focused towards humanitarianism and things like that. We did have a beach beauty segment, and then I did get some pushback because I did win in the top 12 which I think was also a first for Indonesia. We had
Pushed
never
back because you won, or because you were in the finals?
because I was in the finals and it was
Swimsuits.
a swimsuit. Yeah.
Weren't you the first who wore the two pieces?
Yes.
That was you.
Yes.
That was the pushback.
Yes.
A little
But
immodest.
again, that's not anything that's done on a personal decision. Those are things that are the directives from the organizers.
But you could have objected if you really felt that way.
They didn't really have any one-piece suits available, and they said it would not be included in the televised version. So anything that was out for the judging of that segment was done privately. But then, of course, photos were then uploaded.
See, and that portion,
and they got some photos
and
out.
that portion of the event is the focus of the criticism, because why do you need a swimsuit if it's about
Well, I mean, it is
culture
called a beauty pageant, so it is about beauty. Otherwise, they would call it, a culture pageant or something else. But
it's not in the official title, right? Beauty,
Yeah.
but that's what it's about. And you're a beautiful woman, and I don't mean to be like misogynistic, but it's just a visual observation. So you had no problem, and now you don't. How many years later? 14 years later, no problem.
Well, I think there's always going to be an audience for that kind of thing, and if it's not for you, change the channel, But I mean, there is an audience. There are people that enjoy it. There are people that do get quite fanatic about it, about the people that they are supporting.
Yes.
I think as long as the end goal is to bring positive light or attention to maybe humanitarian cases that need help, or to be an activist for something that's positive and something that's good, to be an inspiration to younger people or anybody, then I think if it meets the end goal, then it's a good and a
that's why I
positive
say
thing.
I don't object to it. Not the visual part of it, but there are tremendous benefits that come to the participants, as well as hopefully.
And sometimes
the
it's just amusing for other people to watch. Like I think this year the shouts were very when they announced the country, they were very dramatic and over the top.
And you enjoyed it.
People who had watched it mentioned it to me, and they thought it was entertaining.
It's okay. But in the end, it's entertainment.
One drawback, though, unfortunately. I mean, I have to say, in recent years, they're getting better. Like the message coming out from Miss Universe and Miss World. And they start talking about poverty and education for children. That was what Lakshmi was getting on. But here's the thing. Once you win, you only get a year. And I've been to some events when the Miss Universe came to Indonesia, and I could see that whenever the winner comes throughout that year, there's always so many other, there's always already so many messages that she has to carry. So there's not much time left to promote, her own, whatever it is that she said when she was running for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's always...
often the messages are made by the organization,
Sure.
so it's
That
often
too.
not
If you can get out
left
one
to-
main message, then you made a point. Then you
Yeah.
satisfied.
But they never had the chance to do that properly because there are so many sponsored messages
Busy
they
ladies,
have to do.
as you were, I'm sure. And Miss Universe, by the way, gets $250,000 a year in salary. So yeah, that's part
that's
of,
a number now?
Part of the.
You said per year, so
Per year.
afterwards as well,
No,
or
no,
just for the
during
1
her
year?
year. She gets a salary, which I'm sure you got something, right?
Did you not?
No, not a salary.
that's
There's like a prize that you win, and then
Yeah.
I guess the title.
It is feedback time now. T. Niadi had this comment on Instagram on the end of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our country will be better, the world will be better. Surya posted this on YouTube regarding Rohingya refugees. It's sad to see what the Myanmar government has done to these people. Here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Linda.
This Sunday marks the new Chinese Lunar Year. I think it's a Water Rabbit 2574. And I wish everyone, those of you who celebrate, those of you who do not, I wish everyone, nevertheless, a better year, happier, healthier, the year that everything comes together.
Final words, Nina.
I would like to encourage everyone to get back to exercising. Or if you do regularly exercise, keep it up. It's something that can really refresh you, give you energy for the whole day long, and help your brain to work better. So get your exercise.
And my final words, a dear friend contacted me this week to tell me that she was just diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. That's not good. I told her if love could beat this thing, she'd kick its ass in a hurry. for all the people who love her. You know, I will go to see her in the U.S. as soon as possible. I want to tell her in person how much she's meant to everyone and me. And that's Hot Indonesia for this week. For Linda Ibrahim and Karenina Sani, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Thank you for watching. Please join us again next time.